It kicked us out. So
That's
I had to
okay.
Restart.
Louisa brought up that, that possibly maybe we could make it a 7-person board. And so, this is eliminating that option, basically. We're governed by a 5-person or a 3-person board. Every man for themselves at election. Okay, so, golf maintenance,
Yes.
David Bohr.
Yeah, I haven't talked to anybody about it.
Okay.
Shall we put this
I
on?
was like,
We all know Mr. Burt has been very instrumental in helping develop the core. The concern I have is that he is coming down here, and I talked to him about the maintaining our course with his equipment, doing it himself. I don't know that liability wise, that's a good move.
first of all, you're talking about disc golf,
Disc
right?
golf, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, he didn't.
My wife typed that text, so she may not have. I was
I was
driving
saying,
down the
you
road.
didn't specify, you said golf. Knits, so.
I was like,
I was
okay.
thinking.
So the concern I have is if he comes down here, and cuts his foot off, I think
So-
we're in a bad spot.
So he has, I'm sorry, you go ahead, but I'm assuming he's not signed a volunteer form?
No,
what I was gonna say is do we even have a volunteer form
we
I have
do
to-
not. They
okay.
have to fill out just a regular employment application.
that I
Maybe create
have it on my list to see if we had one and to create one because I was addressing that in our policies and
Right, right.
procedures, but to have him fill out paperwork to be a volunteer.
So,
But I don't, the second part is, I don't think he should be using his personal gas, weed string equipment.
So why
to
are we
upkeep.
doing any of that? Why are we not?
so
That,
not-
that's my question.
So, okay, hold on, let's back up. So first of all, didn't BCDA pay for that to come in, right? We approved it to be put on our property, leased ground, sorry, but we didn't pay for that service, correct? That was done by BCDA?
They,
We were
yes,
supposed to
yes,
maintain
but
it.
the agreement that Ted had with BCDA was that we would maintain it.
Mhm.
Once we installed it, they paid us for the materials
Uh-huh.
that we would maintain it.
And so have we not been maintaining it and that's why Mr. Bird's down here doing it? Or is he wanting to maintain?
I think the part of the problem
To
is
get
is
away
that we
from-
had such excessive rain. Usually what it's at, you
Yeah.
mow it once, it's a done issue.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But you can't have it not mowed, at least the fairways, because of this defined.
So I think that we need to diplomatically and kindly, because that's very nice of him.
Mhm.
Well, yeah,
But I think we need to decline him doing that, because you're right, the liability on that's huge.
Who do you want him to talk to if he
I would
feels
think-
like, because he literally uses it every day. He
Oh.
probably used it even in this when.
Well, I would think we would want to suggest that he contact us so that we can
Okay.
help, that we can go out and send somebody out there to maintain it. But that would be Rebecca that would contact him.
And I do know that our staff has been out there mowing it and weed whacking and stuff too.
So
So,
maybe we just mention it to him for liability reasons. We can't have him working on it himself, that, with his own equipment.
But
I
if
feel
he-
bad, that's
yeah, but if
terrible.
well, yeah, but
Oh,
I guess the other part that bothers me is why is he spending his money?
I know.
Yeah, so if he
Maintaining
sees
our
that it
facility.
needs help, maybe he should just call Rebecca.
Or go talk to the campground manager,
Or, yeah,
somebody.
oh, we have one.
We will.
we will,
Okay.
July.
week after next.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he
So
needs to have
yeah,
Craig, because Craig's in charge of that, isn't he?
Oh,
Yeah.
Craig is in
maybe.
charge of that, but if he could just come in the park office or talk to somebody at the booth about how to get a hold of Craig, then yeah. We just want to direct him in the right direction. Does anybody have his contact info that Rebecca can
Uh,
take
Is he the
down?
gentleman
Yes.
that came with
Mr.
you?
Burt,
Yeah,
I got a small-
Okay.
that guy.
yeah.
I got a ton of us back, Burt stuff. You don't have it on your phone?
I don't, he's so.
I mean, I'm not opposed to him if he wants to still help maintain it. We just gotta make sure that he's under
Correct,
our
Volunteer, yeah,
insurance
yeah.
liability,
Yeah,
so if he cuts his foot off,
right, right. And then at that point, if he really felt he wanted to go cut things, he could come use the weed whacker. from
yeah, well, that's my whole other
Right?
point is that he shouldn't be using his personal
I know.
equipment to maintain our
I
facility.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for
I
him.
mean,
That's-
I don't take, when I was track coach, I didn't take my lawnmower down to mow
Right.
stuff.
You didn't? That's weird. Did it all the time on the baseball field.
Okay, yes, thank you for bringing that up. Issues like that are certainly something we would definitely want to know. So thank you for doing that. And yeah, Rebecca, if you can just touch base with him and get him signed on, so that way he doesn't feel like he's trespassing and not noticing, or that we're not noticing him, I guess. That
I
would
guess
be
the
it.
other part of that is he should have, if he's gonna volunteer, he should have access to our equipment.
Right, absolutely,
And how that is set up,
Right.
I'll leave it up to you guys.
right.
Well, we
Okay.
need our policies and procedures for volunteers, so that can be addressed.
Okay, Norma, do you want to go ahead and talk about do you want that under other business?
Yeah, we'll do
Okay.
that.
So Rebecca, do you want to cover your report?
So I did send out a report to everyone. So do you want me to read everything or
So
did
you don't, if
everyone
you could
read?
just summarize, George is on the phone and he hasn't seen it, so if you could just summarize what it says.
So today we went live with our new software program for the community center and pool. So Shelby and Takeo have had a huge part in that. And we are working on getting all the kinks out of that, but it will be able to provide us with a lot better data about how many scans, et cetera, so that we can share that with you regularly. We received an Oregon Community Summer Grant. That money is to use for Fantastic Kids in the Teen Summer Program. It was for $157,350. And it was something that Shelby and Takeo and I worked on writing back in the beginning of May.
Yeah.
So.
Great job.
Thanks. So we've got that. I signed the contract for that actually yesterday, and we will be receiving those funds. How it was written was to be able to serve people in Morrow County. We were getting lots of people calling for Irrigan. That money will cover the staff that were hired to accommodate the 45 or so kids from Irrigan. And despite the city had agreed to pay for that staffing cost.
So to be clear, sorry to interrupt you,
No problem.
because the district should only be responsible for Boardman children because that's the taxpayers, right, of Boardman. I expressed to Rebecca that because I'd already got a call from somebody in the community that Irrigan kids were attending our program and they're not taxpayers. So I made it very clear that the district is not paying for any of those outside kids. So if you get any kind of comments from any patrons of Boardman, just let them know that the money, the grant money that was received was to help pay for the outside children, not just Boardman kids.
Yeah.
And that any kind of wages then that are any other expenses that were needed to help for those children to be here are being picked up by the city of Irrigan, right, is what you were saying?
They had agreed to pay them, but because the grant does not specify a percentage for staffing, we can cover that cost with the grant funding.
Ultimately, I think that it would be great, and I think Rebecca stated that, that we'd love to send some guideline or guides to them to help them get their own program started so that they're not coming here. But for now, this worked for this year.
Yes.
So they're not paying anything?
At this point in time, they are not.
But our kids aren't either
No, but
because of the grant money. Does that make sense?
I get that, but I don't know. They did nothing to get the grant.
Yeah, what
I
did
still
they
think
do for
that
that?
if they offered to pay, I think that we,
Well,
So
none
that
of us,
offer's still on the table. We have not
Yeah, they
told them
can-
no.
yeah, exactly. They could still pay. But we wouldn't have got the money either. I think we
Yes.
got the money because we put it out there that it was being used for kids more than just Boardman. I think we put it out there for a
It
good.
was-
well,
one of the
again, I'm not
requirements.
saying we
Yeah,
charge them the
of the
whole
grant.
amount that we were gonna charge them, but I think we should charge them something. Cause we did all the work.
Well,
And the problem is, we don't charge them something.
They're gonna
Next
wanna do
year,
it.
if we don't get the grant, they're gonna be, well, what's up? And well,
well, the grant it does sound like the grant is gonna be available next
Yes.
year. So that would be a suggestion that we would give to them and say, you guys
You
should
go
apply for this.
apply.
This is
Yeah.
what you need to do. And we can kind of put them in that guidance and say,
But we wouldn't
We've
get the
helped you the
grant
last
then,
2 years.
probably.
Well, no, we could still get it. There's other ways that we can expand our program as well by offering it another day, more weeks. There's other ways, things that we can do to expand our programs as well,
Okay.
to still qualify for it.
I hear you though. I do,
Yeah.
because if we can use these funds to help lower the expense of the district, then great.
Exactly.
Yes.
But
In the grant, you can request up to, I believe it was either $400,000 or $500,000. We did not ask for the maximum amount either, so.
But she did, obviously, she got enough that if, is it Hannah?
Hannah?
Hannah wants to expand and do better things with the program, because we've all been hearing how boring it was in the past.
Last year.
That's
Last
really
year.
horrible.
My
I
kids are
shouldn't
having
say
a good
that.
time.
But that it was just less than desired, because it was just the same routine all over and over again. I know, sorry. But those are the comments that we were getting. The
Yeah.
kids weren't following through with the program because it was just blah to them. So this money allows them to expand on that.
Do more, buy
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
buy more.
And this year, that is not our problem at this point in time. We have actually shut off registration at this point. We have 334 campers for the morning and afternoon sessions. We started out originally with registration of 220 for Fantastic Kids, and we had another 50 registrations last week. And then we had 40 summer teens initially, and the first day of camp, they were calling their friends
Yeah.
and asking them to
Curious.
sign up too.
I know.
And it's actually the number of, the 64 represents how many packets we've gotten back, but they counted the
There's
check-ins.
like 20 that are 12 that are going between both Fantastic Kids and Teen Summer,
Oh, wow.
because they're right on that line.
Yeah.
So they're attending both programs.
Yeah.
But there's also more than 20 kids who have signed in but haven't brought their paper back,
Yeah.
which they are not allowed to get on a bus and go on a field trip. So they have incentive to bring that back.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
but at this point, it's like 87 or 97 teens have come.
And we do have food for them?
We do have food, yes.
Okay, who's supplying the food?
The school district,
Oh, nice.
Yes.
yes.
Is that free?
Through the summer
They
sack
haven't,
lunch
yeah,
program,
they
yes.
haven't been charging us for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's through the state.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah, I want to commend, like, please make sure that you tell Hannah that she's doing that. I've heard nothing but great things. Like, kids
Definitely.
are really excited.
Oh my gosh, yeah, my son
And
loves it.
I
Oh, he
love-
didn't even want to
Good.
come. He did not want to
I
come.
love,
Smiley
yeah.
was
Because of the last.
Yeah.
I'll even say like the teen
And I was
summer
like,
part, that's the
try
piece
it.
that
Mhm.
we've
I
typically
told
not
her
had a
if
lot.
you
I have a
need
lot
to
of
get
kids that
the
are
try
like,
it. If you don't
I
like
can't
it,
wait to
then
go to
we don't
this.
want it.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Let's see what happens if it gets 150 and how much that motivation still there. I mean, that's part of, it did get
Yeah.
stale, I think, but part of the problem last year was just the temperature.
Well,
It's
they're
a
go- they're
good
going, they're
word.
gonna go to
It
3
did
different
get
things
stale, I
as a
think.
teen summer, 3
Yeah.
different places.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're going bowling, I believe, tomorrow.
Yeah.
is one
Oh,
of the
They're going
things.
bowling tomorrow. Next week is paintball. The week after that is laser tag.
Cool.
And then the week
Oh,
week
fourth is
after
I
the
know. They're
program
telling my
ends, they're
son to
going to
go.
Silverwood still.
Nice.
So,
Lazy.
yeah, and they
Nice.
have to attend the program at least 50% of the time to get that incentive to go to Silverwood.
Nice.
Yep.
So,
Good.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
me too.
I'm gonna sign up, and I'm going to Silverwood when it's an adult night.
Can
So
I be a volunteer?
we have the ability to take more kids for the teen summer program, but it's with the Fantastic Kids. We do
Right.
not have the ability
Yeah.
to expand
Right.
to more counselors.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So there's that. I've been slowly working to meet with people and talk to people about things that have transitioned from TED to the Oregon State Marine Board. We have been talking about the boat dock and the environmental study that's being done. And we now have a fully executed contract for that, which is good. And on file. We did select a campground manager. She will start on July 11th. The campground has been running smoothly. And the biggest thing we did over there was getting some extensive tree work done because there were hanging tree limbs and canopies that needed to be cut back so that we don't have anything falling out of our trees and doing damage. 4th of July is obviously coming up. Tori and Becky from the Chamber of Commerce are spearheading that, but we've had the opportunity to I guess, have interaction with them. The biggest thing we are doing down there, the horseshoe pits were in really bad need of repair.
You threw me because I read horse show and I'm like, we're having a horse show?
Well, they will have pony
Oh,
rides.
geez, Rich was getting excited.
They are bringing pony rides this
Oh,
year
man,
from
I saw that.
Idaho. So they're
No
excited.
kidding.
I'm not kidding.
I'm kind of down with fireworks.
And I mean, it's
Wow.
$30,000 worth of fireworks. We actually met with the fireworks guy yesterday. The fire department came and burned the underbrush out on the
Yeah.
jetty. And then the firework guy came and he said that it's nearly like double the number of fireworks from last year.
So
Wow.
this is your first year?
It's amazing.
It
You're
is
gonna-
amazing. And don't discount, don't let anybody tell you to watch it from anywhere but down here.
I
Like
won't.
take
It's
the time
amazing.
and go down here and
I
watch it
will.
under the
Hermiston's
park.
is so bad. We went last year for a party and we're like, I guess we'll just stay here. No, it was so disappointing. We drove so fast back to Boardman and they were still going on.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, it's
horrible.
awesome.
I was like, I have never, and that was the first year I've ever left Boardman. I've never watched fireworks from anywhere else.
Yeah, we
I
have
was so
You
spectacular.
want some eyelids? I'm asleep by 9.
Oh, geez.
I think my parents may actually come and go
Oh,
with
yay.
me.
That's a
So
great
they haven't
experience.
been here yet.
Yeah, definitely come to the park though. It's,
Yes.
it's worth it to be down
Yeah.
there.
So I've been attending the BCDA meetings and the chamber meeting. I did take Takeo and Hannah and Will's the new pool coordinator
Yeah.
to the meeting so that they could kind of meet some people at the chamber meeting. And I had of note, this gentleman from the Oregon military was there and they have some great programming opportunities that are not geared towards trying to recruit people because that was specifically asked, but 3D things. I don't know if the 5th graders went out there for their program this past year, but they have a whole curriculum and bus kids out there to do the program as well. He's
Well-
new and really trying to make some connections in the community and be involved.
To add to that, the National Guard's building out on the bombing range, a
Mhm.
new drone testing facility. And it should be up by the end of 22 or 23. I can't remember. I think they're gonna start in October this year and it'll be done.
And-
So.
So that's on the Navy's bombing
Mhm.
range.
Mm-hmm.
So it belongs to the government then.
Mhm.
Okay.
And, cause I took a tag kids into Pendleton, and we toured the facility,
Oh,
and we did the whole drone. It's a pretty impressive thing what they're doing at the Pendleton Airport, and nobody knows about it.
that's
But
what I
if you
wondered.
want to get into the drone business and make real money, because drones is where we're going.
Well, because Greg Smith put in one of his outlines on what he's bringing to the Eastern Oregon, that he was like 20 something million for this drone facility, and I didn't know where it was even going in.
They have all kinds of companies doing research there. And before I die, you'll probably be in Chicago and you can go to the top of a skyscraper, get on a drone and fly it to the next place. It's gonna be like a taxi. It's gonna be the Uber.
Okay, gotcha. Yep,
And
I've heard of that.
you're gonna have stuff shipped. There probably won't be a lot of airplanes when
Huh.
drones get, because they're just so much more efficient.
Interesting.
In
Um,
addition to the drone thing, they are also building a range that they have some longer range ammunition
Mhm.
that they can't certify on the regular ranges now. And so there's going to be people from all over the country that come here to certify on this longer range ammunition.
Yeah.
So it's one of very few gun ranges that will have that capability, he said. So
Out at the depot,
at,
or not the bombing range.
at the bombing range.
It's probably the
Oh.
bombing range. The bombing range is bigger than the depot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because the depot is pretty much, there's not, there's a little bit of National Guard stuff there, but most of it's been, or is at least on its way to go into the
Correct,
tribe,
yeah.
the counties.
Interesting.
So, or the overarching, you would also mention that I have been working with the gentleman from Unitech to get our phones, it's not written on here, but our phones into a tree so that you can push an option and get to someone from having all of the managers and myself, where you can press a button for the administrative offices and then all of our names, the recreation center, and also the campground and some options. So I hope that we will finish that tree. He was working on setting it up Friday, so it should be, we will be recording the voices
Oh,
to
yay.
do.
And we're rid of,
No,
I
they're
don't know
still
what,
on
they're
there.
still there right
They're
now,
still
but we
on
will record everything to do this tree. We had to get to that point, and we had a data card or something go out on this past Friday, a week ago Friday, so we actually didn't have phones for the weekend, and he replaced the
Oh,
card
wow.
on Monday.
Yeah,
So,
not even a dial tone.
yeah,
oh geez,
yeah,
Hermes.
correct.
Okay,
So,
Yeah.
and then you acquired the ability to be able to change it then?
he set it up, but it was set up as a read-only thing, so I can claim I did not make the phones go down.
Right,
But he will give me that access, and I do
Okay.
have access to Jive or the
Which is the.
people that's the VoIP service that then goes through SIP trunks to the Unitech service,
Yeah.
which is our phone system.
yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, not just because of employee termination, but even when somebody goes on vacation,
Correct.
the other employees need to be able to access their,
and there's functions
Voicemail.
that we're not using right now, such as being able to send voicemails as a sound file to your email, or forward it to my phone, to my
Correct.
cell phone and stuff like that. So we have staff, we have a manager who can't even get into their own voicemail because they were not left with the password. for
right.
it.
So those kind of things will be
So,
fixed.
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
And then
I,
you guys will have a master sheet regardless of whether
Yes.
that employee gives you I mean,
Yes.
you'll have control over that.
I will have the ability to reset a password too.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
As long as we get some control over that, that was ridiculous.
So we're having some issues with phones, and then our other challenge has been with aquatics. Just a lot of maintenance was deferred and not done over these past 5 years. The HVAC system, it was down to 68 degrees this past Monday. It at minimum to even operate, it has to be 70. It's typically around 86. So that's a huge difference. It feels very cold in there. Kids can become hypothermic if they're getting in and out of the
Especially
pool.
with those.
Yeah, they slow down, not quite so hard, to pay attention to.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So we have been really working on getting things up to where it needs to be. Next month, I hope to do just a brief PowerPoint that shows you some of the projects we've been doing. One huge example is our chemical room. I can show you a picture of it and how there's metal strapping around the acid barrel that's completely rusted away. The
We
paint's
saw
peeling
that.
off the wall.
we see
the
that when we
Yeah,
toured
rubber.
we saw that.
Yeah, so that's all gonna be gone by the end of the month. We actually have signed a contract with a new vendor. There's new barrels out there as of today. So the chemicals don't have to be in that space. So it's a much better solution. So looking at the operations as a whole, and there's a significant cost savings by going with this other vendor. So we were in a 5-year contract that should have ended June 23rd of last month. So we are working on that, but we did get our pool manager into a lifeguard instructor class at the last minute last week. Lifeguard instructor classes are typically only offered in the spring. So the next ones that are scheduled are all like next February, March, April, because it's high pool usage season. So there is one remaining class that we could find between Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Northern California, and it was in Bellevue. So we sent him, so we have the ability to train our lifeguards and
Perfect.
bring staff on board. We have one trainer who currently is on staff, but to be able to have that depth and that ability, regardless of who is on staff, really, we needed to have that depth.
So we'll have two now.
We do have 2 now, yes, including the pool coordinator. Will Maddox. So we will need to shock the pool though. We did determine that when we had the pool closed last week, that we have yellow algae and black algae. And the only way to get rid of that is to shock it, and the pool has to be closed for 2 days. So we were training and doing things in the pool. So this Saturday after closure, we will close it, shock the pool, have it closed Sunday and the 4th of July and reopen on Tuesday morning. We've decided that was the least disruptive option because it can't stay like it is.
Okay,
Can I just say, I like your report, when we get to thinking about this, we need to probably reach back out to like neighboring towns in our county, like Hefner as an example, to see if they'll come back to us so we can retrain them how to do lifeguards, because that's money we lost. And
Absolutely.
so I'm worried from what I've heard is that they're not gonna come back to us, and that stinks.
We did not have the ability
I know,
to train them.
no, I
but
know,
we-
that's what I mean, we have to be very active now to do that, and from what I've heard, they might not come back, and that stinks.
can you explain, I guess?
So
what are
we
you
have to,
talking about?
they didn't have anybody have an ability to train their lifeguards down there. And
Uh-huh.
so they typically were actually being trained in Boardman at the rec, for the rec center.
Mhm,
And we would get money from them
uh-huh,
to do that. So now it's a loss of revenue.
We
'Cause
would,
They went and did it in Hermiston,
uh-huh.
and I don't know if they're gonna come back from what I heard. That they might keep.
Well,
doing
Hermiston used to come here,
correct, they. cost us.
Correct.
and all of them, here's my deal, I think they'll all come back, because we're the only one that has an indoor pool. And when you're
Correct.
gonna certify your people,
Correct.
February, March, it's pretty cold outside.
I mean, if they can't understand the predicament we were in, because we can't train people without proper training people. I mean, I see your point about money, but it's like, if you can't understand where we're at, and have a little empathy for it, we can go fly high.
No, I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying, but I'm just asking to reach out. That's all. I'm not, if they decide they don't want to do that, that's up to them.
Absolutely. I was in contact with the Hermiston director for the Parks and Rec Department, and he was excited about the conversation we had and the changes that we've made for our
Good.
pools and the training that we'll be offering. So he's comfortable also with their staff training with our new instructors, and doing joint trainings even,
Nice.
which we've done previously, but they had stopped doing.
Okay.
So,
I'm excited about your new staff.
thank you.
So one quick thing on the Corps engineers,
Oh, yeah.
did we get a chance to talk to them about renewing our lease?
Yes, so I totally skipped over that, but the Corps of Engineers did come and we did have a conversation. We sat around this table. There were 6 of us or 6 of them. And they are open to doing that 50-year lease. And so that was something they were going to go back and have further discussions about. So we explained why, and they were open to that.
And
Good
Shelby had made application for that
Mhm.
back in what, January?
January, February, somewhere.
Yeah, I was thinking it was
Yeah, to
January.
get that started so
Yeah.
that it would be
Yeah,
going.
so,
So without for like, understanding it necessarily, so I asked the lady who's one of the head people, had she seen the plans?
Mhm.
And she's like, well, yeah, we have a copy at the office. Well, I said, because we had some time because they split up into different groups. I went and grabbed the plans and I brought them out and I actually explained, and she's like, oh, we thought you were redoing this part. I don't know why we'd redo it. She didn't realize that we weren't just altering this part of the campground, but that we were actually doing improvements in other parts.
gotcha.
And so then she was very excited about it. So that was good to see that the gentleman from the state, or I don't know what his role was, but he's like, I'd love to improve some of the other spaces we have to have something like that. And we don't have the budget, but it'd be awesome to see you guys doing something additional because it's used.
Right.
So he was supportive of it. So I think it went really well. We have some things to correct, but it's not something huge.
Right, and I think they always.
Well,
They
Ted
always
says,
say something.
Yeah.
Ted says that the most he ever had were 16 things and I have at least double that amount, but I had
Okay.
6 people and it's things I inherited.
Well,
So
most of them were all new people too.
yes, that
That was,
was,
they were all new, they were all training,
Gotcha.
so they're gonna be a little bit more critical than those more
Right.
seasoned people.
Yes.
that-
he
Right,
was
okay.
reciting like how many feet the propane
yeah.
tank had to be from the welding rig and like, yeah, Ted's like, what? So they had a lot of small things that will,
Okay,
that, and a lot of them have been remedied. We're waiting for the report to report back to them and give them pictures to get it all cleared up.
good, good.
Okay.
So don't don't frown at me when I say this, okay? I'm just giving my due diligence here, doing my due diligence. So I know that there's no way around the fact that the repairs have to be done, okay? We just need to be very conscious of our budget so that we don't get to the end of the year and we're looking at $150,000 worth of repairs that we put into that facility without the board knowing. So just try to be really,
They aren't huge.
okay,
The largest thing we have, and they may or may not actually write it in the report, is those gas tanks out there. It has a the little wall that goes around it. That's a containment area.
uh-huh,
And they don't think the wall is quite high enough to actually contain if both of those tanks were full and spilled out. So it'd be buying some cinder blocks to build up the wall.
right. So I'm
So-
sorry, let me rephrase that. I meant with the pool.
So the
So,
pool,
yeah,
that wasn't the core, sorry.
no,
yes.
I am so sorry. I moved from one topic onto the next. So I was reading or looking at your maintenance report here.
Yes.
And I just want to put it out there that I know that we're real sticklers with our previous rec center director about any money that he spent, but we really need to be money conscious on that as well this year with the new staff. It's not a free for all. Like, we need to make sure that I know things need fixed and we need an operating pool.
I would, the
But we
approach I
just-
would take is try to find some grants that will help supplement.
Yeah, we just
maintenance.
need to be very conscious of how much money we are spending to repair that. And
Keep the pool operation.
yeah, like we.
Bring in the money, girl.
We
Well, we will
gotta
be,
put it out there.
we will start, Will's background is with doing swim lessons. He has multiple years of opening swim schools, et cetera. So
Uh-huh.
we should have some increased revenue for swim lessons too, just that we haven't had in the past. I will mention that. So, but I'm not saying that all needs to go to repairs, but some of the repairs are at a point. For example, we have to replace the main drains. They're like $200 a piece. We have.
No, I
Some
get
of
that. I
those
mean,
are-
I've been signing checks though that are, I mean, there's some huge repairs that we've done in the last 6 months that I know we can't get around it, but it's just frustrating. Like, I find it so hard to believe that we were so deficient.
An
on our staff.
example with the controller system for the HVAC system, they put out an update every 18 to 24 months. There have been 0 updates done. We're 3 updates behind because no one has ever done any of them. And it's reached that critical point where we can't keep the temperature because we don't have the updates for that.
Okay.
So we're definitely looking and recording what needs to be done on a 3, 5, and 8-year cycle
Okay,
so that we can budget for that and plan for that.
right. Okay,
Wonder if there's any federal grants that you can get and somehow tied into a poverty level or minority status or elderly population, all those groups that tend to qualify more for federal funds.
I've been looking and researching grants. I haven't found anything. The Association of Aquatic Pool Operators or whatever it is, like they list grants when they come up. So we're following some of those things to see what funding we can also get.
good thing we're not using well water or we'd get all sorts of federal government money.
Can we make
Okay.
sure we're not using?
Oh, I can take some of my well water and we can put it in the pool sample.
That's what I
I don't
mean, that's
even-
what I mean.
Yeah, I don't even want to take mine to get samples.
They
Oh,
did-
Norma, you have to.
You have to, so
Yeah.
you at least have documentation, so when they come out with the free money for the
Yeah.
osmosis system.
I'm just waiting for that free money.
Is that why we're
What to
always
tell
sick?
They
Right?
did come out
Fine.
and sample both our well water and our drinking water down here. The city
And
The
did.
city did.
The city did last
What's the
week.
results?
We don't have them
Well, the
yet.
city water should be fine. It's treated
Yeah.
by the city, but what about our well water?
We use it for
Yeah.
irrigation, so we're
Oh,
not drinking
It's not
it.
drinkable, okay.
But they
But-
needed to test both of it.
Okay, get the results for the well water. And I say that because if you have a worker out there
Mhm.
that's hooking up a hose and he's hot and he's drinking out of a hose, we need
Well,
to
the
tell him not
the
to.
spigots are on well water, or not well, the well water.
Oh, they're not.
No,
Okay.
they're on city water. They're
Every
potable.
single spigot?
There's no drinking. the
It's
well
just
Yeah.
irrigation.
water. Mhm.
Yep.
Oh, okay, well then never mind.
That's all right then, because then you got free fertilizer.
I know, right? Free fertilizer. That's what the farmers are using. it
That's
for.
a cool guy. Good job.
On
Okay.
that, can we also remind our people of good customer service? Especially in the
Yes.
pool. Especially the new guy, Will. They named him specifically.
Okay.
So, yeah, one of my coworkers didn't have a good experience with him, so he let me know about it.
Maybe after
Yeah.
the meeting, you could just talk to her
Okay,
about it.
okay.
We've been addressing things as they come up with employees, so.
Yeah.
We are also,
Just
We're doing
good customer
training, so-
service. Yeah, and I've always been like that. Me, I'm all about customer service, so
definitely, they should have a good experience too.
yes. And want to come back.
Absolutely.
Are we, one more thing real quick here. So first of all, does anybody have any questions on Rebecca's report or the maintenance report yet? What about any of the other reports? 'Cause I'm good if everybody else is moving past those.
I got one thing here. It's always a pet peeve. I get it. I get complained to and I tell them, go report it. But I don't know if they are. And that's the docks with the goose poop. That's gotta be a pretty much, I mean, we had a tournament here and they were atrocious. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then the other thing with that would be graffiti. We gotta get that taken off right away.
So that's one thing where I did ask him to acknowledge that the police department did come and assist with that. I mean, Craig and I weren't aware that there were any coordinated efforts with the police department. Our staff had gone out there with graffiti remover stuff and could not even make a dent in some of the graffiti. We got hit really hard several weeks ago.
Mhm.
And so we're very appreciative of what the police department had to offer. I know that when the officer went out and met with them, our maintenance staff to take the report, they did not mention that there were any possibilities of assistance. When the police chief called me, he did not mention that either. And it was, I don't even know how it came to be. Was it your conversation that Shelby had, that they mentioned that they have the graffiti trailer to bring out and we're able, that the stuff's very caustic, but it took everything off very well. And I appreciate their assistance in getting that cleaned up.
Is it all gone?
Yes, we have some areas that we need to repaint because of how it took stuff off, but that's very small in
We
comparison.
don't
to-
have cameras, so we don't know.
We do not have cameras down there. We have purchased some field cameras to put up in the trees. It's typically a cyclical thing. Every 3 months or so, they get hit down there, according to Craig. And so it may take a while, but we do have some cameras that we are putting up.
Where was it hit? Where were we
Down at the
talking about?
Marina Park.
Oh, at the
At the
marina.
actual park?
Oh, marina.
Yes.
Yeah, if you drive down and look on the side of the men's building,
Mhm.
you can see the square that's a different color. That was one of the biggest tags, was right
On the
there.
bathroom.
Mhm.
Wow, we don't have any cameras down there at all.
Mhm.
Interesting.
So
Where are the cameras? Here, like, do we have anything that monitors license plates as they come through the park?
No, the only thing there.
we have the
and there,
camera on.
And then there's one on the booth.
Oh, okay. Okay, but so we can't monitor, we are not monitoring people that are coming through with their vehicles.
If they drive through the main drive in front of
Uh-huh.
the booth, that you'll see it. And there should be a sign out there that says smile,
In
you're
front
on
of
camera.
the, in front of the booth.
In
though.
front of the booth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
not
Yes,
on the
but
main
if they
road.
drive through the rest of it, no.
Interesting. Yeah, I would think we'd want that. At least somewhere so that we
Yes.
can
We're gonna,
catch vehicles coming and going.
and when we put the field cameras up down there, we have discussed getting some signage that makes people aware that they are
Yeah.
on camera.
Yeah.
So.
Just deters the kids. if you
Smile you.
Say it's there when it's not. Okay.
So we
um,
seeing, George, are we seeing an uptick of graffiti everywhere in town?
Well, I'm seeing graffiti at the city park at Marker 40 now.
That was all on the same
Smash
weekend, I believe.
It was the weekend before graduation,
It was a weekend of
or
graduation.
yeah, the weekend of
Yeah.
graduation.
So, okay, George brought up real quick, a good point of that goose poop. Have you been filled in at all about the geese?
Yes, we've talked about geese and how we,
And how they're an issue?
yes.
Okay,
And I know that we cleaned that dock and then like 2 days later, it doesn't even look like we've cleaned it.
Mhm.
okay.
So we have talked about calling the gentleman that comes out and deals with some of our geese too.
So we were told the last time they came out, which was what, 2
La-
years ago?
It was last summer.
Oh, no, it
Yeah.
was just last summer?
Mhm. It was just last summer.
Really?
Yeah.
No, we didn't gather last summer.
It was 2 years ago we gathered.
Yeah, because I don't
'Cause
remember.
my brother was here and he wasn't here last year.
2 years
So,
ago was COVID. He wouldn't have come out during COVID. That would have been 2020 summer. He
20.
wouldn't have come out during 2020 COVID.
Maybe it was the year before that. It's probably been. a
Maybe
year.
Yeah,
been the year
I
before
was
that
thinking
then.
it was 3 years ago
okay,
myself.
it could have been. My brother was part of it and he's moved to Idaho since then, so I know it wasn't last
Because
year.
I remember you guys talking about it last year
Yeah,
when we came on.
right.
So
So the Fish and Wildlife told us, and they were very specific with us, that we have to try to maintain preventative measures for them to want to help us. And so I don't know that we did too much, although we did have dog deterrence and those kind of noise things out there sometimes. But yeah, when you approach the Fish and Wildlife, we need to be very nice to them and say, please come take away our geese, because I think right now is actually the week
that they would normally
that they
come.
would normally be here. So
Mhm.
I don't know if they're going to make it this year, but we're gonna probably have to at least get them online for next year.
Okay.
It's right when they,
It's both, while they're molting. It's
Yes.
Before they get all their
before they can
feathers.
flight.
Yep.
They can take flight. So, and that's usually, they've been, when they did it before, it was always like that last week of June, first week of July. We were
How
always
does
worried
that
about
happen? How do they say, no, don't go to Boardman?
what?
How do
They
you?
take the geese and they relocate them or euthanize them.
Oh.
The babies they take down to Klamath Falls and the
Yes.
adults they euthanize.
And let them go, and adults they
Oh, that's,
So,
Oh, no.
well, it's not, we don't make it a public event, Norma. We don't invite the children to come watch.
Well, can I just get some of my geese hunting friends?
So
Have at it.
we've actually talked about that, and because we can't discharge firearms in the city limits, we're not able to do that, because that would be ideal, right?
Yeah.
To let hunting go on, but yeah, they've vaccinated that.
I'll get a suppressor.
Right.
Nobody will know until.
Right, okay, so, on to, Norma, just your concerns over janitorial issues under other business.
Oh my
please.
gosh, yes. Okay, so I went to the thing that they had the other day.
Summer kickoff.
Thing was that.
Yes, the summer kickoff.
Oh, okay.
And
How did that
I
go, by the
just-
way?
It went really well.
Good.
I loved it, yeah. So I went and, I'm just walking around and I went to the gym area and I clean offices, so I'm looking at dust everywhere and I was just like, that's not okay. That's not a week's worth. That's not 2 days worth. It's more than not cleaning going on. I just don't know how often they're cleaning, but it's dirty. To me, it's dirty.
Where was it dirty?
In the gym, in the exercise equipment. and
room.
all
The
that.
Oh,
fitness center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I didn't go into the basketball courts or any other, they had a bouncy house in there and stuff, but yeah, I would just, I mean, if we're using, who are we using? I
An
saw it
outside
on
source,
the-
correct?
Atkinson's, I wrote it down. You guys are using
Yes.
Atkinson's, why don't we just say, hey, this lady or guy is not working out, send it to someone else.
Or
It's a pretty good,
or ask them
it's
to
a
just-
huge facility for one individual.
It
I,
is.
for me, my suggestion, I don't know how we pay for it, but is we should have somebody there 24/7. The evening shift, when there's nobody there, I believe that we set ourselves up for more damage with not having anybody there. If you have a custodian, you kind of have a security guard in a sense that if I know there's an employee there, I'm less likely to kick a ball. I mean, you look down there on that one end of the gym and there's like 6 basketballs up in the railing. I didn't get there because some guy took a half-court shot. I got there because people were screwing around, and I guarantee the screwing around is happening from 8 o'clock to whenever somebody gets there in the morning. Because I see some of those people when I'm in there at 5 walking, how they play basketball, and nobody picks anything up. I mean, Kiefer and I pick up 6 basketballs every morning before we start our walk. And I really think that if you had a 24-hour, it would be a cleaner facility, but it also give us some supervision. How you pay for that. You know what I mean? But I think the amount of money that we would spend on that would limit some of the damage that happens to the building, and it would be a cleaner facility. Because I know when I go in there in the morning, on Monday morning, the locker rooms are pigsties. And that maybe because we don't have anybody on the weekend, but I really think we should have somebody there all the time.
Yeah, because people, I mean, you can always say cameras are watching you, but who's watching the cameras?
Yeah, we don't have time to
That's
sit there and
true.
watch
Exactly.
8 hours unless something, the front door gets damaged, we don't know how it happened.
And we also have, I mean, there's a concern about security and the fact that there's no way to lock up any of the computers at the front desk. We could show up one day and have no computers left.
If you have somebody
So
I thought the
there,
cages are locked at night.
The cage is for the
It's
back
behind the
office.
front desk though.
There's
Oh,
2
nothing,
computers
Correct.
and
Yeah.
Correct.
All of
Feel
That's
like you
been,
can't put anything down.
that's been a bone of contention from the time we built the building, that our
So-
computers are sitting out there. They are shut down, right? Every single day.
well, they can't be
don't-
shut down because they have to be able to scan in their memberships.
Oh,
They're not open. They're password
They're locked.
protected.
they are password protected.
Okay.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
they're fine.
Okay,
Yes.
the public doesn't have access to them
No.
supposedly,
Okay.
right? Okay, right. I know, it's been a really big issue from the get-go on the fact that they put the cage up and it, literally our computers are right out there. Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
strange, but thank God for cameras is all we can say, right? And we have scans and they can't get in the building after hours without that pass, so.
And
um,
then I did have something else. So we always get our financial statements from Shelby. But we have never gotten HR statement. So I'd like to see if we can start getting an HR statement from you.
I don't know that we're
What kind of
entitled.
HR statement?
Well, what are you doing throughout the day? Like what's going on in your HR? Like, what are you doing as HR?
Like as a manager's report,
Like a manager's from HR report.
That one's kind of a hard one because
Yeah,
HR deals with a lot of employee issues.
Mhm.
And really, you guys don't get involved in that. That's a Rebecca thing. So,
It's a personnel issue. We
Yeah.
can't get involved in personnel issue. That's why we can't name like people's names and things like that.
Yeah.
right,
I mean, the best I think that she could do would be like, we hired 30 people for fantastic
Yeah.
kids.
because I can't go
Um,
into details on any of that, especially
Mhm.
even when in a public meeting.
Mhm.
Because if we start talking about
yeah.
employee
no, I
issues, then
don't-
we have issues.
Yeah, I don't mean saying mentioning any names, but
What are you thinking? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
like,
I
thinking
guess
like-
explain
like I
more.
want to know the problems that are going on. Like I want to hear from us, not from the public.
So we would
Can I
not
say
be,
something?
no, we would not be entitled to that.
Okay.
Spencer made that very clear, that
Okay.
we are here, when on Friday, he just told, sorry, I
Oh,
did
yeah.
not mean to like be so horrible. If you could just hold on a minute, Louise. So Spencer made it very clear that our role is to govern policies, the What'd you say, George?
No, I was agreeing, we're a policy board, we're
We are a
not a
policy
management
board.
board.
Yeah, and we're here to govern the budget, the overall operation in good faith of the
Mhm.
public. But yeah, anything that she's gonna be dealing with, that's gonna fall directly under Rebecca. So
Okay.
we're gonna be looking to Rebecca to put the district in shape for all the issues we've been dealing with over this last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our
if you would have
goal-
gotten the board about 10 years ago, that you would have been okay to get that.
Right, yeah.
And
not
I understand
reverting.
what you're saying, because
Yeah.
we don't ever really know until the end, and it's frustrating. But, you know, like we come today and we have an issue, we
Right,
kind of knew a little bit about that, but, you know, and so then, oh, well, you gotta decide what you want to do. It's like, geez, I gotta process this in 30 minutes, an hour.
right, right.
And I get what you, the frustrating part of it. And then everybody wants to have answers and you're like, dude, I didn't know what you're talking about.
But yeah, but
Yeah.
that's where we, over the next year, we have to wrap our heads around the fact that we are truly wanting to distance ourselves from those
From that,
issues.
okay.
And that's something that Rebecca is taking on. Because in the past, that was thrown at us, and we really don't need to accept those,
Yeah.
that responsibility. It needs to fall on her shoulders. That's what we're paying her the big bucks for.
So would
Thank
you,
you, Rebecca.
would you say that, would you say if we hear some, because all of us have different people that come and talk to us, I mean, it's just
Yeah,
part of the
correct.
nature, right? I think we just need to continue, like, we talked about this, last year, like in September, October, reminding everybody that if we get something, we have to just continue directing them to Rebecca
Yeah.
and just go, and I
Good.
appreciate you talking to me, but you have to talk to Rebecca.
Yeah, because the public doesn't know that. The public
Yeah.
doesn't, because they are not employed by us, so they don't know they have to go talk to. They don't know
Right.
who to, they're just like, oh, we need to talk to the board, because that's
Mhm.
So-
what they think.
Right, so there again, if it's the only time that somebody should be complaining to us is, and I know this sounds horrible, but if it's an employee that's not getting, I guess, bad feelings about Rebecca and the way they're being treated as an employee or their rights as an employee, then by Rebecca, that's
Okay.
when we step in. But if it's over the operations of the park, we have to refer them
What is it
to
for?
her.
Okay.
She's the main person that's gonna get the brunt of all that.
Are you all right with handing out your cell number? Or you wanted to call it?
No, no, we have a nice 481 number.
Hey, I'm just telling you, I prefer
Soon as
people
those-
just to text me, because
Yeah.
when people want to get a hold of me, I don't want them calling
That's
right,
numbers that.
but
The
it's-
number
I-
that you can give out for her would be the district work.
Her
phone.
work number.
That would be the one. if-
Is that your
Other
cell
than
phone?
her, other than the office one.
Yeah,
So.
her district cell phone number, but really, if it's a general complaint, we want to
Yeah.
give them eventually, probably not right at the moment, but once the phones are fixed, we can give
Yes.
them to
Yeah,
the
because right
481
now
number,
it's.
and they can leave a message.
And either
Scott,
number, if they call the rec center or they call the RV park rec or administrative phone number, both will go into the same tree system.
Yeah.
So it'll give you the same option. So
And don't get me wrong, I mean, if you're getting, somebody from BCDA that's a huge money source for things, or the port or the city or somebody like that needed her cell phone, that's the park cell phone. I
If
could
we
see
need
giving
to, you
Is
that
can
your
out.
take the
the
number.
number I
if you have
text,
to
Yeah.
that's park cell phone?
Yeah.
And keep it simple.
Exactly.
no one here.
Probably
staff
what I'll
doesn't
do is
even
just
have a
take their
personal.
number and text you, hey, so-and-so needs you to call them.
Yeah,
That's it, I think
And that
that's.
way your
easy.
Yeah.
number's not out there.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
I
nobody
get-
should have your.
if you want to give them my office number, that's fine. I would prefer not everyone on the planet has the cell phone number, because I will be getting texts and calls.
correct,
till
that's what I mean.
10
I'd
o'clock at
rather them
night.
have the 481 number and be able to get a hold of you that way and
So,
keep
but feel
people-
free, any of you, to text me on that phone number. I mean, I hope you guys agree. I mean, I respond to you guys
Mhm.
with the information that you need. So if you want to respond to someone and have a question.
I would love when I get part of the story.
Oh, from the person, not from me.
No, I send it to you and I was like, I'm just trying to get out my head around this.
Okay,
Oh.
do we have any other business? And I guess at this point, if our guest has any comments, you are limited to a 3-minute discussion.
Oh, I thought it was 2 minutes. but 3 minutes.
Okay.
No, I was just saying that, like what she was saying in the board, I'm the part of the clinic board, and we do get reports like that, no names, no nothing, it's just a general description. We had a patient come in and they had this to complain, and that was it. We don't go into names, details, it's just a general thing that they said they're allowed to do.
So that would be different because
Yeah.
that's not any different than somebody making a complaint about the operations of the park, right? She was asking for more about employee type complaints, or that's what
Or
HR is gonna be
people.
for. HR is for employee complaints.
Like I could make I mean, I don't have 20 complaints from this past month or
Right,
anything,
right.
but like I could make a generic list of complaints that I've dealt with, like someone complained about the cleanliness of the locker room and I contacted them and had a conversation, and then operationally
We did this to fix it,
I asked,
Right.
type of deal.
yes, but I can't say we talked to an employee on 3 occasions and we're now moving to some kind of action. Like I can't
Right,
do
right.
that.
Okay, any other business, anybody? Or if not, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. 8:37.
8:37.
So we can't just fire people?
Is the thing off?